Good afternoon, everyone. We're in Mark chapter 9 this week. And again, how's your reading going? Feel free to give me a call or give me an email, anything, carrier pigeon's fine, if you have any questions as you're reading through. So, a couple of points to make here about Mark chapter 9. Now, it begins with the transfiguration story, which may be familiar to you. So, I encourage you when you read it to read it very slowly, a couple of times over, and put yourself in the story. Make yourself one of the disciples, and you're there on the top of the mountain experiencing it. But ask yourself, what do you make of Peter's comment in verse 5? Rabbi, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents. Why do you think he says this? And what do you think of Jesus' reaction? Another thing that you'll find as you're reading through chapter 9 is this section where a father, a very poignant section, a father brings his son to Jesus for healing. And there's a part of this that has affected me for many years, and I'd like to point it out. It's in verse 24. So here's this father, and he brings the son to Jesus and says, Jesus, if you can heal him. And he says, I can. This is verse 23, and Jesus said to him, if you can do anything, have compassion and help us. And Jesus said to him, if you can, all things are possible for one who believes. And it's the Father's reply there in verse 24 that I think is so poignant and helpful. He says, immediately the father of the child cried out and said, I believe, help my unbelief. I believe, help my unbelief. I encourage you to meditate over that verse and on what it might be. Lastly, at the very end of Mark 9 is this unusual sounding section about, well, let's see, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. If your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. Now, Jesus is not being literal here, and the reason I can say that so clearly is that to disfigure your body would have been against the law, and Jesus fulfills the law, and he does not reject it. So there's something else going on underneath these verses. And what I think is happening here is Jesus is making a very clear point about the seriousness of sin. And we're going to see the theme of seriousness carried on in the next chapter as we get to Mark 10. So that's Mark 9. Enjoy your reading. If you have questions, give me a call. Thanks, and God bless you.